Well, good morning, good morning. I'm Ryan, this is 780 Speed and Custom. And today we're finally back on the Biscayne again. I did a couple of things off camera. My apologies, don't yell at me. But just minor stuff. I'll show you here, but I triangulated the alternator bracket that I made last episode, just so it's a little more solid and won't rotate under belt tension or whatever if the bolts come loose. So that'll be more solid. I mounted the coils. I had to modify the driver's side coil bracket in order for them to clear with the brake booster. And I actually had to cut the inner fender well out to get at one bolt so I can get the last little piece of the air box out. Because there's one little tiny bolt tucked up underneath the fender you can't get at otherwise. So got that out, those two other things done, and now I'm waiting on parts. But I did have a couple things show up. I've got my throttle body showed up. I'm not going to show you that yet, but I got my fan. Now this is a Durali part number, I can't even remember what I ordered here. Yeah, 18214. It's a 14-inch fan, 2100 CFM, and it's, I guess you'd call it ambidextrous. You can use it to push or pull. Kind of mounts the same on either side. So, all mounted on the inside, but if you really wanted to, you could mount it on the outside. Good fan. I've got a smaller radiator in the 40. With this same fan, keeps up no problem. I don't have heating issues. This is a slightly bigger radiator. I can't see why this won't work. So my plan for today is to build a bit of a fan shroud or a mount so that I can get this positioned in here and buttoned down. I've mentioned it in previous videos, but I absolutely do not recommend anybody uses these straps that they come with. The idea is this just pulls through your radiator and kind of pins the fan to the radiator itself. The problem is over time, these will loosen slightly and the fan will start to vibrate and can and has worn holes in radiators. I had that issue on the 40, built a bracket to support the fan, got rid of this stuff, haven't had an issue since. So I'm going to build one of those brackets for this car and we'll go from there. So hopefully you enjoy the video. Hopefully you find it educational. I don't know. We'll get to it. So this is what I had to do to the coil bracket. I kind of just cut that last coil off and welded it on at an angle so that I could clear my brake booster. So I may have to make a custom spark plug wire for that. Slightly longer, not sure. Hopefully a stock one will work, but we'll find out when the time comes. Other than that, everything will be factory, so that's good. And then down here you can see that's where I triangulated the alternator bracket, just so that this is, more solid. Not going to move, not going to rotate if one of these bolts loosened off, and won't loosen the belt off that way. So nice and solid. Should work good. And then, yeah, obviously cut that inner fender out, which was a battle because they use all those blind nuts all the way along here and, rusting over the years. Obviously, as soon as you touch them with an impact, those nuts break and then they just spin. So no choice but to cut everything off. I just cut the bolts and was able to get the rest of that cleared out. So all good. So I'm just using a bit of cardboard assisted design here, some CAD, to kind of figure out where things need to go to mount this fan dead center. So basically all I've done here is cut out the shape I need, basically the edge of either of this. The mounting points on the radiator line up to the edge of this. And then this is the height of the actual grid fins on my radiators, so that's essentially a cutout of the grid fins for that particular radiator. So then I just marked center by measuring halfway between height and width. So I get a crosshair basically in the center. It actually worked out pretty good because this fan has little markings directly in the center on either side. So I just lined those up with the crosshairs. And now I'm tracing out where the actual fan's going to sit. And then I'll use this template. I'll just take a screwdriver to punch my holes. Where I'm going to have to drill. So there, that gives me perfect shape shroud. All I've got to do is figure out where my mounting holes go on the sides. I'll cut this out, the center ring, and then obviously in my plate I'll have holes where each one of those dents are to bolt that through. And then I won't bolt this directly to the radiator. I'll have it spaced out a little bit so that it can pull air from the entirety of the radiator, and then it forces it to go through the fan. So should work, hopefully. Okay, so I've basically got template made out. Obviously, that's where the fan's going to sit. You can drill out 4 holes to bolt the fan through, and then I've got the mounting holes marked to actually mount the shroud itself to the radiator. Now, the issue I've got is when I put this flush to the radiator, I've only got about 7/8 gap between the shroud and the actual fins. Now, ideally, you'd have at least 1 inch. So what I would like to do is offset this from the radiator. Now, ideally, if I had a brake, I would make these measurements longer, sides and the top, and I would put a 90 bend down, 90 bend out, so that this is nice and smooth and raised up from the mounting points, and then just fold the top and bottom lips over so that it's nice and sealed and all the air is forced to go through here. I don't have a brake. Now, I'm not saying that's the proper way to do things. I'm not saying this is the proper way to do things. This is just how I'm doing it. So, yeah. Not saying it's proper. It's just what I'm doing. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll transfer this to a flat sheet of aluminum, less the mounting flanges. I'll cut those out separate, and then I'll just cut a long piece of flat bar that I can fold, so that I can get my step up. Then I'll weld that edge to this flat plate and then these mounting holes to that. So I have basically part of a box here open on one end, and then my flanges to mount it to the radiator coming off of that. Probably not proper, but it'll work, and that's going to be the easiest to do for me with what I have in my garage tool-wise. So I will cut these ends off. I'll transfer this center section to a flat plate, cut it out, and then I'll figure out what I need to cut for the other 3 pieces to make this all work. So, wish me luck. Okay, so obviously I got the face of the fan shroud transferred to aluminum. So I'll just drill a hole so I can get my jigsaw in here. Cut out the center. I'll cut the notch out for the fill neck, and obviously cut that out. Now, I don't have enough aluminum to make one solid piece to wrap around this face to raise it up. So I'm just going to end up cutting out, 2 pieces this length, 2 pieces this length, and I'll weld them at a 90-degree angle to this to raise that up. And then obviously these flanges will get welded to the side of that. So I'll have a raised up and sealed off fan shroud. Should work. It's more welding than I would like to do, but I don't have a brake, so that's the option I've got. to make this work. So yeah, I'll get to cutting this out and fingers crossed it works. Okay, so obviously that's got the face of it cut out. I just center punched where the 4 holes to mount the fan go. So now all I'll do is take a quick measurement here and here, and I'll cut 2 of each out so I can weld those uprights. Then I'll cut these 2 pieces out and we can start welding it all together. So I'll snap my fingers and all the rest of the pieces will be cut out. And there you go. So these are the 2 pieces that I'll cut or drill the bolt holes in to hold everything on. 2 top bars, side bars, so that'll raise it up 3/4 of an inch. There's already 7/8 of gap, so that'll give me plenty. I made this bar for the top a little bit longer because I'm going to bend it to match this curve. And I'm not going to fully weld all the way around everything. I'll just, put say 1-2 inch welds all the way around. Hold everything together, be plenty strong enough. And yeah, this should work. Be a lot easier if I had a brake, but I enjoy TIG welding anyway, so I guess I'll get to it. For this part, all I did is tack these edges together. And actually, easiest way to do that is to get one of these. It's just like a 90-degree vise, and it is the handiest thing I've bought for doing stuff like this. You just get yourself a true angle every time. So I welded those 3 sides together. Obviously that'll weld to the bottom here. Now this other long piece I had cut slightly longer because I wanted to bend it around this dip. So all I did was place it here, kind of mark where the bend needed to start, and then I just put it in the vise and slowly worked this bend into it, which sits quite nicely with that notch I've cut. So I'll finish tacking these together so I've got a complete rectangle. Once that's tacked, I'll tack it to the back side of the face here, and then I'll drill the holes for my mounting plates, and then I'll tack those to the sides. Once everything's tacked together, I'll double check the fit. If it all looks good, then I'll finish weld it in. So I'll keep going here. That's got the base all tacked together and then tacked to the front sheet. So I'm actually quite happy with the way that's turning out so far. I just tacked it a little bit on the inside. I'm going to add another tack down here and in the middle, and then I'll go along and I'll just weld along the outside here a little bit. Get the mounting plates put on there, and we should be good to go. Well, that's got the shroud all finished welded. I'm genuinely proud of this. I think it turned out pretty well. So just got a couple more holes to drill for the mounting points and obviously for the fan itself. Keep saying that, just haven't done it yet. That just goes to show, if you have thousands of dollars worth of tools and an afternoon to kill, you can save yourself $100 on Amazon. So hopefully find the video helpful. I'll get to finish drilling this out. We'll throw it in the car and move on to bigger and better things. Well, everything's mounted. Got the shroud in there, fans mounted, everything's bolted down. I'm quite happy with the way things look. Ended up with about 1.25 inches of air gap between the radiator and the inside of the shroud. So that's good, should flow good. All I've got to do now is wire it, plumb it, figure out a steam port, overflow, and the cooling system's done. So making some progress, that's for sure. Well, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate you guys sticking around, watching. Hope you like what I've done here. I'm quite happy with it. But it took a better part of a day, so I've had about all I can take on this thing for one day. Pick it up again in the morning, so appreciate you guys stopping by the channel. I'm Ryan, this is 780 Speed and Custom, tuning out.